you don't know me, I'm Mike. I do video game reviews on this channel. I used to do live action, but I think now I'm gonna move into voiceover because it's a bit easier. So let's get started. Alright, so we're doing a Deathloop review. This game is a really fun action game with a good time loop mechanic. It's been called Dishonored without consequences, which I like, but also there's is sort of more consequences in a way with the 3 lives per level thing. I'll get into later. But if you don't like the sound of that, then maybe this game's not for you. Shooting is mostly good. Despite being a little stiff. Most of the guns have a good weighty feel to them. The shooting's better overall than Prey, I think. There's a good gun loadout and perk system with good upgrades. The system of saving guns or perks and powers and equipment with the points they're sort of like Souls and Dark Souls. They sort of really make you care about them for a good bit, but also sort of like Souls and Dark Souls, you eventually stop caring about once you got most of what you want. Stealth is not as good as in Dishonored. Firstly, because of enemy awareness / lack thereof. They're dumb. They can't hear other enemy guns. Also, when you get alerted, it tends to alert like just everyone at once. This may be partly on purpose to make the game a bit easier because of the 3 lives per level, but I think it should be better still regardless. But also, there are some other AI problems as well, as they seem to have trouble going through doors sometimes for like certain areas. Secondly, the feel isn't quite as good. Doesn't have the same flow. The dodge mechanic isn't very good. It has a decent feel to it, but something about it just makes me forget that it's there for most of the game. I like that there's dual wielding with independently firing guns, but for most dual wielding, your guns take up 2 out of 3 weapon slots, which is very restrictive. There are a set of special guns, ones that become one gun that were in the first gameplay trailer. Outside of that, there's take up too many slots. They're good They have a good set of powers. Funds, the best ones from Dishonored, your Blink, your Shane. There was called Dawn of Dishonored. I don't remember what's Nexus in here. They got an invisible one, which I think is sort of like that Shadow one in Dishonored 2. There's also some decent new ones. The Kinesis is real fun. I didn't find it extremely useful. It was fun. The Blink / Shift is still the best one. The way the levels in this game work is there are 4 levels with 4 different times of days. You can go to each level. There are 3 lives per level. You lose all of them at one point or survive all 4 times a day, then the day resets. The 3 lives per level with no saves coming really forces you to play differently. You have to be careful, but it's not too harsh. Level design is really good, as usual for Arkane. Very open, very good flow, which allows you to play however you want. But this time it's expanded with time being a factor. You choose not only where to go, but when to go. Quest lines take multiple days, and it helps reinforce the fact that knowing how to kill the visionaries is actually more important than actually doing it. It adds a fun sort of mystery element to the game. On a side note, investigating areas can take a bit when it tells you to do that, and I don't get they don't want it to be too obvious, but it feels like a bit of a waste of time. The game can be a bit repetitive, but I find it works in its favor to help reinforce the story. It also forces you to beat It also forces you to find the best way to do things. You sort of become like Bill Murray robbing the bank truck in Groundhog Day. Do things like find the best place to find batteries to power things, memorize where the enemies are, and find the best path through levels. Multiplayer has a few issues. Colt has a major advantage with 3 lives to Juliana's 1, which he also gets back 3 lives if he kills her. Also, getting against Juliana can take a while, I would guess, because either people who want to play as a single player experience turning online off. Also probably because you can only be invaded once per day. Despite this, I generally liked it because I like single player as multiplayer in general. Because single player has bigger scope, more mechanics to play around with. So I just generally like that. The story is fun. It's a fun retro sci-fi adventure. The characters are good, especially the main 2. And it's a shame that their interactions are mostly over the radio. There's some good humor, a lot of fun, lack of explanation humor. Your hacking device is just called the Heckamajig. There's also a good bit where an NPC is wondering why a generator needs a battery to start, sort of on the video game logic. There's a good central conflict with ending the loop or not. Good visual aesthetics. This game has very good music. There's a lot of classic rock and other good 60s, 70s music. Especially the battle song and the level select song. This game has good animations, especially on the kills, but not quite as good or fluid as Dishonored. Some people had a lot of issues on PC. Luckily, I have access to a very good PC, which I don't usually use because it's not mine. But hopefully these issues get fixed. When I give a grade, I try to balance criticalness and feel for a grade. And although there's a lot of problems in the critical perspective, especially with the AI, I really enjoyed this game. Despite all that, I'm giving it a 9.10. Not gonna get into the spoilers. I like Colt's interactions with the other Colts. It's a good self-introspective and a look at what could have been. Like the game doesn't give you a firm stance on or absolute motivation for breaking or protecting the loop. You know, there's the chaos that's bad, but in a way it's sort of not permanent, although there is the other sort of like multiple ignitions type thing, but it also seems like there's not. But anyway, there's also the conflict with Juliana that sort of, complicates things. There's also not really a reason to not break the loop and just sort of finish this. But there's also with breaking the loop, it sort of makes you wonder if that's gonna doesn't that make the chaos permanent? Is that something you should do? That's a good, interesting idea there. Side note for the very end shooting sequences, I didn't like how Cloak doesn't check his gun, because that'd be a very obvious trick. But anyway, see if it's loaded. But anyway, that's a small thing. So I like this game. That's almost it. If you like that, you can check out my other reviews and a playlist. If you haven't seen me before, if you haven't heard me before, check out my playlist if you want to see more video game content. Thank you to anyone who likes, comments, or subscribes.